I would like to continue the discussion on the Beis Hamikdash. We've already discussed the significance, the purpose of the Beis Hamikdash, what it has in it that teaches us that we should unlearn and what we must learn and implement forever. I want to continue with this Perek Memhei in the third chalik of the guide. This particular chalik encompasses quite a bit. We just covered quite a bit of it, the central idea of uprooting Avodah Zorah and showing what the true faith and Nevuah and the Torah and the Jewish people are about, okay? He talks about an awful lot of things here, a lot of which we don't have anymore, what we've lost, okay? Or what we've ceased to concentrate on. He speaks not only of the Beis Hamikdash and the building proper and the structure, but he speaks about the menorah, he speaks about the vessels of the temple, their significance, and he also speaks about the Kohanim, the Leviim, and other things that were going on there. One of the things that he emphasizes, and I would like to leave you with, that within that temple, within that whole structure, and what's going on there, is raised a certain hispalius, a certain a tremendous feeling in the person that he can't get in any other place and should not attempt to get in any other place. And it has the capacity to literally change the person completely so that he will feel that he wants to live this life dedicated to it completely and no other. He wants to change whatever he has. He'll give away everything just for this type of life that is in sync with what is in this temple. Naturally, the power of that can't be an everyday event. But there are certain elements I'd like to touch on, and I beg of you to please, even if you don't want to do it on Tisha B'Av, but during these 3 weeks and afterwards, to read this Perek, Memhei, the 45th Perek, and the third portion of the guide, which deals primarily with Tamei HaMitzvahs. Don't worry about the philosophy so much, okay, if you're afraid of it. But it's very important for every Jew to know about this central element in Judaism, this element that belongs to us and only us, okay? What we're praying for, what we're striving for, and what we hope to have available to us in the near future, okay, very near future. Maimonides goes on to discuss, of course, the main things that was a menorah, okay, and speaks about the parochis that was there, and he speaks about the lights that were always on there, etc. And all of these things are to give a certain hispalius to us, that we should become excited. You should know the Rambam many times says that excitement, hispalius, is no good. You wind up getting excited, you use your imagination, you go in a whole dozen myriad ways that are completely wrong pathways. You're just following your retzonos, your desires, your wants, your needs, No, over here, all of a sudden, he brings up hispalius, that we're very, very much excited about something which is worthwhile, and we're going to be nimshach after it to that which is right and proper in our destiny. He mentions this several times, and I mention this to you because in many other places the Rambam denigrates Hispalius because it's no good. But here in the Beis Hamikdash, this is what this Hispalius can do for us, and we have to maintain it to get as much as we can in that place that we need and we're dedicated and we're destined for. He wants to understand, wants you to understand, that the Beis Hamikdash has been paralleled with Shmiras Shabbos. Okay? The Shmiras Shabbos and the Yiras Hamikdash, the awe of the Mikdash, have been paired together. So it's not something that is completely, when you're not there, you do have the Shmiras Shabbos. You can reflect and think into that and understand that there's a creator, and from him all the things are emanating, everything is emanating. And then he speaks about the Shulchan, and he's a little mystified exactly what the Shulchan is appropriate for, but he tells you he has yet to give something final on that. But he's obviously given a lot of thought on it, but he wants you to know that he can't give you anything definitive that you could take with you, okay? It's also, he speaks about the Avnei Mizbeach, etc., many things here. But I want to jump ahead because we can't possibly cover everything, and I want to focus on things that perhaps we can give her over. He speaks about the Kahanim, the people who are doing the main avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. He speaks about their clothes. Their clothes are very beautiful. They're supposed to express a certain noy, beautiful, but not for themselves, but for where they are, and to the purpose of the people to have a certain respect. You know, again, I guess you could say a certain Hispalius, something to catch their attention and their awe. He mentions that the Kohanim, interestingly enough, if they have certain mumim, certain deficiencies, physical deficiencies, primarily, I say primarily, that they are not eligible to do the avodah in front of the people in the Beis Hamikdash. And he explains why, after all, this spiritual place, what is the difference? Who cares? No. The Shleimus Avorov and the Yofi Begodov and the Matorah of the Roimimus, the exaltedness of this place, and the one who has given it to us, is very important. Because most people, he says, most of us, when we see somebody and they have, let's say, their nose is very long or their ears are drooping unusually, we allow that to distract us from the tzura. That person may be a tremendous person. He may have qualities unbelievable that we really should strive for, okay? In service and learning and who knows what, just every day, think about it. There's some people that are not so beautiful, but their beauty is an inner beauty. It's the tzura of person, the tzura of the person, okay? His form, the realness of his being, his real Adamkeit, his real humanity. We get distracted. In the temple, since the Matorah is to think about the greatness of God and all these other concepts about the Malachim and the Nevuah and the Torah, etc., all these things, and the multitude of angels versus the individual one and only God, okay, who is incorporeal. That's what we have to concentrate, and his ways and how to implement them, okay? We'll be distracted. We will lose our passion, our hispilus. We'll start to get passionately interested. Hey, you know what? He has a long ear. What's he? Yeah. Hey, meaningless, ridiculous, idiotic issues will fill up our mind in the holiest of holy places. Okay? That is, that can bring us, that can open the doors to the holiest of holy. And then from there, whatever God grants to the Jewish people. Okay? Even more than the holiest of the holy that we could possibly imagine. Because less machshavet trisabach klal. You know, I've mentioned to you, perhaps elsewhere, and I'll mention it again, the great Christian, thinker of the Mittelalter, Saint Anselm he was called. There is that which no greater can be thought, that is God. In other words, the greatest that you can think, that is God. That's the way it sounds. Well, we can't think. That which is greater than can be thought, not that which the greatest idea you have, that's God. But that which is greater than any one of us ever will be able to think, that is God. He is incorporeal. We are corporeal. We think to some degree, whatever it may be, even minuscule, shaba minuscule, miyuta shaba miyuta. We are still bound up with things which are corporeal to some degree. We cannot have any asoge about the first being. We can know what he is not, but we can't know him intimately like we know other things. In any case, this is a very interesting lesson here, I believe. When you look at a person, when you look at an individual, and he is, especially if he's been entrusted, and we understand, we even know for a fact that this person truly embodies the leadership qualities in physical, financial, and midosius attributes, the activities and is doing things because of an altruistic motive. He is truly above the fray. He is not the politician. We should know that is what is important. Forget about the fact if his back is bent over. There's many Jewish gedolim who had what they call a hiker, a bit of a hump on their back. But they were the greatest authorities of the Jewish generation and generations to follow. You must understand that the tzuras ha'odom, which is boiled so many times when we see greats, we're sort of astounded by them. We cower almost in our own, how should we say, ignorance and cowardice and smallness when we appear before them and realize this is true greatness. We are finally getting to see. Don't look at the externals. The externals are of no import whatsoever. Grab that hispilus. Grab what you can to see what the Torah can give to people, the Torah that comes through the Nevi'im from the Rabbeinu Shalom, with the intermediary of the Malachim, except for Moshe Rabbeinu, which was Pe'al Adaber Bo. This is one little lesson. There are many things you'll see in this paragraph, in this perek, in this kapitel, as we call it, Kapitel 45 of the Rambam. And what we don't have in the Beis Hamikdash, to whatever degree, we have lost in our daily life now, not looking at the tzuras hadover that is there and the true Baalei Torah to whatever degree is possible in our time. We must get out of the idea, you understand, the idea that we're it. I don't care how many videos you see with people glotzing mit den Augen, you know what I mean? Looking heavenward and acting like they're in touch with the Rabbanu Shalom. That's not it. We're talking about true, complete, total authorities, and there are some that we can find in this time, in this country, okay? And we should be able to derive from them an aspilus of them, and also an inspiration to understand that we too can grab something. We may not have a Beis Hamikdash anymore, but the true Talmud Chacham is a pchina, is a me'en, of a me'en perhaps, of the Beis Hamikdash, and we should try to utilize that to the utmost, and thereby we will begin the process of returning the Me'era V'Yameinu to the Beis Hamikdash in its national home, in its fullness, in every brick and every part and every piece of wood and every single component, in a full return to our destiny. How many minutes?